Good evening, everyone, and welcome to tonight's discussion. We're here to delve into a significant and increasingly debated topic. Should public restrooms be designated as gender-neutral instead of gender-specific? Joining us are Dr. Evelyn Reed, who advocates for gender-neutral facilities, and Mr. Samuel Green, who will voice some common concerns regarding this change. This issue touches upon evolving societal norms, inclusivity, and personal comfort, making it a particularly relevant and sensitive subject in contemporary society. Let's begin.
Thank you, Alex. I am here this evening to strongly advocate for the widespread adoption of gender-neutral public restrooms. My position is rooted in the belief that such facilities are essential for creating a truly inclusive and equitable society for everyone. Firstly, gender-neutral restrooms inherently accommodate a wider spectrum of individuals. This includes our transgender and non-binary community members, who often face discomfort, discrimination, or even harassment in gender-segregated facilities. Furthermore, these spaces benefit parents accompanying children of a different gender, as well as individuals who require assistance from a caregiver of a different gender. It's about practical support for everyday situations. Secondly, from a safety perspective, gender-neutral restrooms can paradoxically be safer for many. By eliminating the binary choice, we reduce the instances where transgender and gender non-conforming individuals are policed or questioned simply for using a restroom that aligns with their identity. This can significantly decrease their risk of verbal abuse or physical confrontation. Moreover, well-designed gender-neutral facilities often feature more private, fully enclosed stalls, enhancing safety for all users. Finally, there's a practical aspect. Gender-neutral designs can lead to more efficient use of space and potentially reduce queuing, particularly for women who often experience longer waits. Therefore, transitioning towards gender-neutral restrooms is not just a matter of social justice, but also of practical benefit and enhanced dignity for all individuals.
Thank you, Alex. And Dr. Reed. While I appreciate the intentions behind the push for gender-neutral restrooms, I believe it's crucial to voice some significant reservations and highlight common concerns that many people share regarding such a shift. My primary concern revolves around the issue of privacy. For generations, gender-segregated restrooms have provided a certain level of comfort and privacy, particularly for women and girls. Many feel uncomfortable at the thought of sharing these intimate spaces with individuals of the opposite biological sex. One might worry that this change could erode a sense of personal space that many value deeply. Secondly, and linked to privacy, are safety concerns. There are genuine fears, particularly among women, that mixed-gender facilities could potentially increase the risk of harassment or even assault. While I acknowledge that this is a concern and not necessarily a guaranteed outcome in every scenario, it's a fear that cannot be easily dismissed and must be taken seriously. We need to consider the anxieties people have about vulnerability in such settings. Lastly, it's important to consider societal readiness. Such a fundamental change to established public norms requires careful thought. Are we, as a society, prepared for this transition, and have we fully explored the implications for all demographics? Rushing into widespread changes without broad consensus could lead to discomfort and social friction. Therefore, I believe a cautious approach is warranted, ensuring all perspectives are thoroughly considered.
Thank you both, Dr. Reed and Mr. Green, for your clear and comprehensive opening statements. Dr. Reed, you emphasized increased safety, while Mr. Green, you raised safety concerns. How can these differing perspectives be addressed?
That's a vital question, Alex, and Mr. Green's concerns about safety and privacy are certainly valid points that need careful consideration. The key, I believe, lies significantly in thoughtful design and clear communication. When we talk about gender-neutral restrooms, we are not advocating for a complete free-for-all with no privacy. On the contrary, optimal design involves fully enclosed, floor-to-ceiling stalls, perhaps each even containing its own sink and hand dryer. This model ensures individual privacy for everyone, irrespective of who is in the neighboring stall. Alternatively, Common hand-washing areas can be used, but with the private stalls remaining completely separate and secure. There are numerous examples globally where such facilities have been implemented successfully in universities, cafes, and some public buildings, without a surge in safety incidents. In fact, many report increased user comfort once the initial adjustment period is over. The focus must be on creating spaces that are genuinely safe and feel safe for all users. If stalls are fully enclosed, privacy can be substantially enhanced beyond what many current gender-specific, poorly maintained restrooms offer. This includes ensuring safety for transgender individuals, who are disproportionately targeted in traditional restrooms.
Dr. Reed, I acknowledge your points regarding the potential of good design to alleviate some privacy concerns, and the idea of floor-to-ceiling stalls is indeed a step in the right direction. However, I do have lingering doubts about its universal applicability and, crucially, the consistent enforcement of such high design standards across all public spaces. While I understand that design is important, we also need to think about the psychological aspect. For many, particularly older individuals or those from more traditional backgrounds, the discomfort isn't just about physical privacy. It's about deeply ingrained social norms and a lifetime of expecting gender-segregated spaces. Even with the best design, overcoming this psychological barrier will be a significant challenge for a portion of the population. Furthermore, what about the cost and feasibility? Renovating every existing public restroom to meet these high privacy standards would be a monumental undertaking, both financially and logistically. Are we confident that all public and private entities would be willing or able to make such investments? It seems more likely that we might end up with a patchwork of solutions, some good, some less so, potentially creating new anxieties.
We've heard compelling arguments regarding design solutions for privacy and the psychological adjustments needed. Considering these points, what are the practical steps or compromises that could be considered in moving forward with this?
That's a constructive direction, Alex. I believe a pragmatic approach is essential. We could certainly consider a phased implementation. For instance, new constructions and buildings undergoing major renovations could be mandated to include well-designed, gender-neutral facilities. This allows for gradual introduction and acclimatization. Alongside this, robust public education campaigns would be vital. It might be beneficial to launch initiatives that clearly explain the design features, the rationale for inclusivity, and address common misconceptions head-on. Crucially, the planning and design process must involve extensive consultation. We need to actively engage with the diverse community groups, transgender and non-binary individuals, women's advocacy groups, disability advocates, and parents to ensure their voices and needs are genuinely incorporated into any proposed solutions. Their lived experiences are invaluable in creating facilities that are not only compliant, but also truly welcoming and functional for everyone. This collaborative approach can help build broader understanding and acceptance.
Dr. Reed, the idea of a phased implementation, particularly focusing on new constructions, and accompanying this with public education does sound like a more sensible and cautious path forward. I agree that these could be beneficial steps to explore. However, I must reiterate the absolute need for caution. It's paramount that the concerns of all groups, especially those who feel most vulnerable, are genuinely heard and addressed, not simply dismissed as outdated or resistant to change. That could work, provided that the consultation process is truly equitable. Perhaps a viable compromise, at least in the interim or for larger public venues, could be to maintain an option for gender-specific restrooms, alongside new gender-neutral ones. This would offer choice and accommodate those who still feel a strong need for gender-segregated spaces, while simultaneously advancing the goal of inclusivity. This dual approach might ease the societal transition considerably.
In closing, I want to reaffirm my conviction that embracing gender-neutral restrooms is a progressive and necessary step towards fostering a more inclusive and understanding society. My key arguments have centered on enhancing inclusivity for everyone, including transgender and non-binary people, parents, and caregivers. Furthermore, I've highlighted how thoughtful design can ensure safety and privacy for all users, often exceeding the standards of current gender-specific facilities. This isn't about erasing difference, but about creating public spaces that acknowledge and respect human diversity. Moving towards gender-neutral options is a tangible demonstration of our commitment to equality and dignity. I am hopeful that through continued dialogue, education, and considerate design, we can create public amenities that are truly welcoming and accessible to every single member of our community. It's about progress, respect, and ensuring that basic needs can be met without fear or discrimination.
As we conclude, I wish to summarize my primary concerns. While I fully acknowledge and respect the objective of greater inclusivity, it's vital that we don't overlook legitimate anxieties regarding privacy and safety, particularly for women, children, and those who feel vulnerable in mixed-gender intimate spaces. My reservations stem from a belief that rapid changes to deeply ingrained societal norms, such as gender-segregated restrooms, require broad societal consensus and careful, unhurried consideration of all potential impacts. The psychological comfort of all citizens matters. I appreciate Dr. Reed's points on design and phased approaches, and I believe these offer avenues for constructive discussion. However, the importance of not rushing these changes cannot be overstated. I call for a continued, open dialogue, where all viewpoints are genuinely respected, and for solutions that effectively balance the laudable goal of inclusivity with the fundamental need for personal safety, privacy, and comfort for everyone in our diverse society.
Thank you, Dr. Reed, and thank you, Mr. Green, for your thoughtful contributions and for engaging in such a respectful and insightful debate this evening. Your perspectives have clearly illuminated the multifaceted nature of this issue. It's evident that finding a right path forward involves carefully balancing the drive for inclusivity with considerations of safety, privacy, and existing societal norms. There are many valid points on all sides. We encourage our audience to reflect on the arguments presented and to continue this important conversation within their own communities. Thank you for joining us.